You know,
But the
so
chandeliers were made out of gold, right?
yeah. Well, a lot of that stuff is like Trump. It was gold plated, right? Like not even 23 karat, like 18 karat gold plated. But the place that I used to have a jeweler out in what was the name? Qadisiyah, out near the Qadisiyah Mosque. Great mosque. Someone says I'm number one in banter. Y'all gonna learn history whether you want it or not. The Battle of Qadisiyah was this battle between Caliph Ali and Governor Muawiyah of Syria in the first
Hmm.
Islamic civil war in 657. And that's a big Shia shrine north of Baghdad. I think it's northeast of Baghdad. And I used to go to a jeweler there, and that guy sat me down and educated me on what the difference in all the types of gold. And he was like, look, man, you're buying gold. You don't know anything about gold. Okay, gold class, Zahabi class begins now. And he showed me the
Yeah.
qualities of gold, how he tests for gold, what is good gold, what is bad gold. And that guy sold me a boatload of good gold, and because that was the best way. He developed me as a client. Like now you're educated. When you come in here and spend your money, yeah, I'm going to make something off of you, but got destroyed in a suicide bombing. This jeweler, and fortunately, it happened after hours, so mashallah, he wasn't killed. But it's just the way it is. ISIS guy come up, jihadi guy, a Sunnah come up and suicide bomb because he wanted to kill Shia Muslims.
The
And
polarization during the U.S. Deployment in Iraq between Shiis and Sunnis was unparalleled level.
well,
Especially that
because
Saddam Hussein was already doing a whole bunch of crimes against the Shia
mainly because
beforehand.
the idiot Americans, literally, L. Paul Bremer, Ambassador L. Paul Bremer, my office was down the hallway from him. I was part of the Coalition Provisional Headquarters. And L. Paul Bremer literally ordered, he wanted no people from State Department who had any Middle East or Iraq expertise, because he said they would come and disrupt the disruption he was going to do. He
That's very
and that was
funny.
another thing. No Arabic speakers on staff, senior staff. I was on the security of staff, and I was director of security for the entire Iraqi economic program, old money, new money, gold, everything. The oil for
Sounds
peace
like a
program.
recipe for disaster.
I had guns, bro. It's just I had 250 bodyguards on contract. Mainly, first they were British, but the British stole from me, so we broke their contract, and then we hired
I,
all Iraqis from Basrawis.
I was
So
just saying it's a recipe for disaster when you have the U.S. government have all the experts on available, and then they sideline them in the most
well,
important way possible.
you saw the Civil War and or you saw what happened there. All right, what kind of coffee mug are you rocking there, Waj? We're
I
in
just
time.
finished actually my coffee, but we got the handmade one.
Good. I'm gonna. People should DM you if they want to send you a nice handmade mug. I am back to the grommet coffee mug because I needed an extra. I needed humor today. What with all the crazy bullshit that is going on with regards to what's going on in the Middle East and Europe. So that being said, hold it. I need a schluck of my cheese. Schluck. My German deployment is coming out. Cheese grommet. Um, Last night, 9:30 p.m. I was going to bed, and Mario Nuafal's show contacted me, but I somehow slept through it. Of course, I had already done 30 minutes with him earlier in the day talking about Ukraine and the Middle East, and apparently, once again, if it's nighttime, right? You know, sun's not out, guns are out. That's exactly what happened. The shooting started again last night. But we're going to get to that after in the significant activities portion of this show. I will show you the video of this nice ballistic missile launching. Actually, I'll show it to you now. This is an Iranian ballistic missile uh, executing vengeance against Iran's enemies. I like the way they put this stuff. But there it is. There's 4 ballistic missiles going out against Middle East states because we're apparently in a ceasefire in which we are firing on everybody. So that being said, let's take a look at oil. Wajeeh, how's the oil market reviewing?
Believe it or not,
Viewing?
it fell even more by today,
Hmm. I believe it.
making the
I believe it.
making WTI $90.54.
Hmm. Dropped $2.50. Wow. These guys are so optimistic. $90.54. Brent North Sea crude is at $93.09, dropped $1.94. Well, let's see what happens this morning since there was fighting. At some point in this fighting, the Iranians are going to get serious. They're going to hurt something that belongs to the Americans. And they hit several objects yesterday. They bombarded Kuwait. They bombarded the U.S. Navy headquarters in Bahrain, which has already been abandoned, right? No one is
Yeah,
operating out of that. Barbara Shields says
from
Mr.
my
Global is not
understanding,
optimistic.
is that the reason Iran targeted the civilian airport in Kuwait is literally because the air base is much more defended, and they would have wasted more drones at the U.S. air base if, rather than hitting the airport.
Yeah, well, it's easier to hit. And it breaks Kuwait's international traffic. The airport is back up in operations. Somebody said they had $3.78 gas. Where is that? Closest Kroger, Andrea Rosser, says
That's a
378.
good price.
Shoot, we're coming down to your house. I
Yeah,
bet
let's go.
she probably lives in Baton Rouge, someplace that has like 10 oil refineries right next door. Their prices, if you live in a state with a refinery, your price is always lower.
Oh my god.
Still, yeah, still 447. 356 in North Carolina. North Carolina has refineries. Anyway, speaking of oil, I want to stick on the topic of oil. Yesterday on PBS, this video is from PBS NewsHour. It's public broadcasting. I want to attribute that to them. And this is the head of the S&P. Is it S&P Global? About what could happen if we have a prolonged shortage of oil. Bear with me a little bit.
Oh,
Uh, I'll get through the main part, but we keep talking about the oil sales on futures. That apparently has nothing to do with the real price of oil. And this director from S&P Global has some pretty harsh things to say about oil. Here, let me take these off and you can this stuff.
I can't hear anything. No one can. Malcolm, we can't hear anything. Malcolm. Yeah, Malcolm.
Saying they're not hearing sound.
We can't hear.
Earpods.
Yeah, Malcolm.
Okay, let's go back over that. Uh, I will give that to you because that guy speaks
Yeah.
incredibly shocking stuff about the inventories, even though we're the world's largest producer. things are
You
going to
wanna
get bad.
if you
Yep.
don't mind starting over because we did not hear anything
I'm
you
going to
said
start it.
or
I'm going to start it again now. So let me know. It looks like it's. What's the biggest reason why? Well, they're basically biggest reason why is inventories. Inventories in the United States. Remember, now the U.S. is the world's largest oil producer, and so we have that's. And the other surprise has been China, which is also has built up huge inventories. And I think those are the reasons that this shock has not been as extreme for the world as might have been expected on March 4th when Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz. When those inventories deplete, how quickly could we see prices spike even higher? Well, right now, I'd say the view is that as we get into July, if there's not some relief, is when you'll start to see the prices reverse from where they are. I should say it's in Asia, it's an energy crisis now. I mean, they're really feeling it because they were so dependent on the supplies from the Strait of Hormuz. So they're having rationing shortages. They don't have fertilizer. They don't have diesel for farming. In the United States, we're seeing it at the gasoline pump. And in Europe, it's actually about jet fuel right now. Well, that's right. I mean, the consequences extend far beyond oil. What's the most overlooked impact of this disruption? What are the other knock on effects that we're not yet fully grasping? I think the number one is fertilizer because the Gulf was a source of 1/3 of the world's traded fertilizer. Yikes! And this is hit during planting season. Many parts of the world has either driven up prices or it simply isn't there. So I'd put that as number one. Okay. He
wow.
once again confirms what we've been hearing other analysts had. We had the vice president of Exxon. We had the CEO of Chevron. This guy is, from S&P Global, right? The vice chairman of S&P Global. And they're saying it's coming. It's coming. There's going to be an oil shock by no later than July. And the way that the administration is approaching the entirety of this war, it's sort of you know, behind the scenes, we know it's panic. Trump definitely wants the war to end. It's hurting him. He might even be planning on going and invading Cuba based on the things that we've seen coming out of Cuba. And we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. But there is a shock coming because the United States is the world's largest producer of oil, but it's sending oil all over the world. And now, remember we said that the oil is like a swimming pool? It's not a bunch of barrels. It's a swimming pool. The entire global inventory is now getting lower and lower. Like somebody says, Mr. Global has been talking about this for a while. And when it gets to a certain point, pipes go empty. And that's when the knives come out and real bidding for oil goes. $200 a barrel, $250 a dollar for physical oil. Right now, it's already running at $130 to $175 for physical barrels of oil. That's oil as it exists right now on a pier, right? Or on a ship. But the more I look at the futures, the more I easily believe that the market is in a fantasy world right up there with Milli Vanilli. If Trump is Millie, then this guy's Vanilli. The market's Vanilli. I mean, they are lip syncing our way to a disaster. And the big problem with that is that disaster could lead to further combat or, fighting in other parts of the world. It's already led to people dying. And you heard what he said, 1/3 of the world's urea nitrate. We've said that about 500 times on this show. 1/3 of the world's fertilizer comes from the Persian Gulf, and it's been cut off for over 100 days. What do you say, Watch?
The global economy is still dependent fully on the oil market. Asia gets most 90% of its oil from the Gulf state. The if everything resumes to normal right now, it will take us 6 to 12 months to resume on semi-normal stances. Qatar alone has suspended all of its LNG production and assessed that it will take 5 years of fixing the infrastructure that was damaged to produce the LNG again. The Gulf states that had economic deals with the United States are genuinely ending their contracts with the U.S. because their priority has shifted 180 degrees. When you are already have secured your oil and LNG production, you don't really think about the deals that you're making with the United States as detrimental to your economy. But when your source of income, your only source of income goes away because of the United States, then you have to figure all these things on your own. The Saudi PIF, uh, the Saudi investment fund, officially has shifted its investment from the United States to looking
Mhm.
for local talent. So local talent and AI, local talent and uh, drone production, local talent and engineering. There is too expensive and unreliable for these Gulf states at the moment to have any economic and military deals with the United States if they cannot stabilize
They
their own security.
The Emirates is big at this too, right? Creating their own hub. And if they were smart, the smartest thing to do is not give, it's been already clear it's detrimental to have had Meta and Elon Musk and all these other people build data centers in their country. They became military targets early on in the war because these data
Yes.
centers were helping command and control of U.S. forces operations there, and the Iranians started droning them, right? Hitting them with drones and ballistic missiles. It would be smarter to say, crash program, the top 500 students who graduate from Zayed University or, the University of Riyadh or whatever, y'all are going to start with foreign assistance. We're building our own goddamn data centers, underground,
Hmm.
in concrete, solar powered, air conditioned, right? And you got to
Hmm.
build it near the ocean because it has to be
Yep.
cooled and all that. So put it out someplace safe like Yanbu, or up near Aqaba, on the way to the Jordanian border, and say, hey, it's our own nation's AI. They always start this. They always give $10 billion to some Western company to make us the best at blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely right.
And then it takes them 20
What's
years
the
to train five guys. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, no, yeah, I was about to absolutely agree with you. They'll go to a company. What's the most expensive thing you have? You have something behind? You have something you haven't told me about it? Show me what you have behind the closed doors. Okay,
My
we
late
want
wife,
that
God
one.
bless her, my late wife, when she worked in the United Arab Emirates and was one of the only female executives in that country. Okay, a woman that could sponsor a man and kids. Right? Just think how crazy. Every year we went to do our visas, it would be like this huge rush of women over to the women's section because none of the women technicians there could believe this woman could sponsor her family. She worked for one of the sheikhs and the sheikha of the United Arab Emirates, right? So she was favored amongst others, right? So boy, she called it the Rolex effect. They had to have a Rolex, nothing short of the best, most diamond covered, gold filled Rolex, whatever it was. I ever tell you that? I told you that story about one day she came and she comes home and she's the one who coined this term, stupid money. She says, Malcolm, the French accent, Malcolm, you can't believe it. I go, what happened? She goes, they have these people, they don't, the money here is stupid. They don't know what money is. They told
Oh,
her that day to give a single sole source contract of $100 million. to
Mashallah.
one company from California to do something. And she called the CEO and she didn't know why they wanted to spend this money. And they just wanted it. They wanted something he offered in a brochure or something. And they were like, not 150. We want 50 of them, water fountains or something like that. And she called that guy and he was like, oh, I can't be there. I'm doing something. And she goes, I'm about to hand you $100 million. Can you be on a, he's like, I rented an executive jet during this call and I'll be there tomorrow morning. But I suspect those days may be over to where
Oh yeah.
they may now have to look, hey, all that bling, right? All that bling, big towers, big this, it's wasting money on the Rolex effect, where they're not going to have to
Mhm.
go, we want a good ass Timex, right? We don't need a Patek Philippe. We need just a good ass Timex to put in. You just put in water fountains. You don't have to have $100 million for them. And I suspect
Ooh.
that era of the Gulf states doing that, and it would be smarter to say, like what you said, I'm taking the top 5,000 university graduates for the next 3 years. You're all going into AI. I don't care what the job is, doorman, typing, whatever. You are going to run the largest AI data center in the Middle East. We are going to build it ourselves with our money, with
Mhm.
experts who will come in, but it's ours. Because up to
Mhm.
this point, the way they spent money was here, $1 billion, no problem. Do something with it. Those days are over. And definitely in Qatar. Qatar's lost $1 trillion with a T.
And
I mean,
Saudi Arabia.
mm, mm,
Especially Saudi Arabia, they would go to like a consulting firm like McKinsey. And here's the mistake that Saudi Arabia did is, for example, the United Arab Emirates was very smart because they would give land tax free with with rules. You have to put 1/4 of the project as a deposit in a bank in the UAE, and you have a limited years where you have to finish that project that is your idea to come and finish it. And if you don't finish it, the government comes and takes on that project as their own. That way, United Arab Emirates has not been risking as much of its money as the rest of the Gulf state. Saudi
mm,
Arabia, MBS would be, oh, I have a great idea. Let's make NEOM. And would like hire a
Neo.
McKinsey, yeah, and would hire like a consulting firm like McKinsey and would give them millions of dollars and tell them, make this happen.
Make it
And
happen.
McKinsey, whether it works or not, they're getting paid.
They're
So
getting picked.
their job is just to do whatever the prince is thinking about. And whether this project is successful or not, they don't have any physical assets in the actual project. So they lose, they're not that interested in making it as successful if as if it was their own.
Yep. So, for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, Neom in Saudi Arabia was this incredible futuristic city, right? The area, this is what it says, the area of this new city in Saudi Arabia was going to be 3 times the size of the island of Cyprus.
Yeah.
Cyprus is pretty big. You can see it from space. And I'm pretty sure Neom, I don't know, has it been canceled? I know the line has been stopped.
One
This was,
you can 1/4 of Neom has basically came to a quick stop immediately. And
yeah, this,
the other thing that we need to know about Neom is a lot of indigenous people were kicked out of their land in the northern west of Saudi Arabia. I personally know people who lost their lives because they basically stood in front of their house and said, "You're not compensating me enough." And the Saudi forces were like, "Okay, we'll kill you."
yeah.
And
Well,
that's the reality of the situation.
well,
Um,
a serious component of the reality of the situation. Here it is. This is supposedly Neom. And we're talking now, the reason we're having this discussion is because oil is now endangered as a global resource. And these countries, this is what they were building. This was all of northwestern Saudi Arabia, right?
Mm,
4 times the size. If you look at it, it's bigger than Jordan. It's bigger than most of Jordan. And I've been all around Jordan. And this place, the line, that was supposed to be a linear city.
mhm.
Linear, not a circle, not is a giant line, right? New ports, all of this. I can't remember
Well,
what this was.
did
This is like almost $1 trillion project.
he had stupid ideas connected to Neom. He wanted flying cars. He
Flying
wanted
cars, halas,
to
flying cars, make them.
he wanted to hire scientists so they can reinvent dinosaurs to come back to life. He was wanting to do a lot of weather seeding and hired a lot of companies to see if he could make the Saudi desert and northwest of the Saudi uh, area green again.
Yes.
Made a promise of planting 1 billion trees and couldn't even get to 2 million.
But that's possible, though. Some of that stuff is possible. When I every year I tell you guys I go out to Egypt, I do a tour. I'm a tour leader. I'm a battlefield tour guide. Uh, and one of the things that I do is we go to Western Egypt, way in the Western Egypt, on the Libyan-Egyptian border, where we're talking about the history, the origins of the SAS and the Long Range Desert Group and Special Operations Executive. But out where we go in the desert, they are doing a desert reclamation project where they're planting 1 million trees, right? Palm trees. And those palm trees are capable of leaching the water, but they've stopped the desert cold. So the Saudis could do stuff like that. But what Waj is trying to get across here, and what we're trying to get across here is now they've been thinking about all that cool stuff, and the thing that is now disrupting them is this. These are ballistic missiles and interceptors at Bahrain
Hmm.
and Kuwait. It's over. Those dreams are over. Many of them, because that is what's costing them to lose $1 trillion. Trillions of dollars, not a
Hmm.
trillion.
Trillions. Yeah.
You know, Saudi Arabia, if they're gonna shut Neom down, right? They'll have one small port there for mega yachts, and the rest of it will go away. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
keep doing the tree project, but now if they were smart, they'd start building 2 or 3 pipelines across the country, right?
They're working
Pipelines
on
in
it.
every direction.
They're working on it.
Yeah,
There's just these pipelines take a lot of time to build. And Saudis are going to the Swiss and they're going to other companies, not Bin Laden company for sure.
yeah,
And Osama bin Laden comes from a very rich family that became very rich by building the Saudi infrastructure, and they're called the Bin Laden family. The
yes.
father has been married to multiple wives, and
BLG,
Osama,
Bin Laden Group.
yep,
Bin Laden Group was
and
the Bechtel of Saudi Arabia. It built Saudi Arabia. Bin Laden Group.
yeah,
It's just he had
and
53
they're not
sons.
gonna go to Bin Laden for that.
No,
Yeah,
no, no. One of those 53 sons was part of the problem. Okay, I just want to shift here. Let's go back to the Persian Gulf. Last night, for those of you who are wondering what went on, once again, the U.S. Navy tried to do a what do we call it? Spectacular penetration of the Strait of Hormuz, and four four merchantmen tried to leave the Gulf under the air defense umbrella of U.S. warships, not being escorted. U.S. warships were obviously calling them, trying to do the Project Freedom thing. And they did not make it out. The Iranian Navy called 4 of them. 3 of them turned around immediately. A fourth one tried his luck. The Iranians fired 4 drones at them. SM-6 pass. Multipass. They were not using the Iranian traffic separation scheme, and the U.S. Navy apparently engaged and shot down some of those drones. We do not know if that ship made it through, but the point is, I mean, when we use four of these SM-6 anti-ship, anti-ballistic missiles, or even the SM-3s that are on these ships, it costs, you could have paid the multipass fee for all four of those ships. It's 10 million bucks. I mean, it's insanely expensive. Even keeping the warships there are insanely expensive. So, but this is about trying to slip ships through, because you recall the other day they were bragging that they had gotten 54 ships through in 3 months.
Hmm.
And we were like, that's 3 ships a day. And most of those were not coming under your umbrella. They were just like ships that would have gone that way anyway. Right. But the U.S. Navy, what's his name? Pete Hegseth is taking credit for everything. So the
I don't know if
Iranians
you saw,
fired
but
those missiles.
as of yesterday, the Centricom has taken credit for 100 ships to cross the Strait of Hormuz.
100. Every small Dow that goes through, they're taking credit for. We got them out. No, Project Sneaky Pass. I'm writing that down, Mike Matson.
Project
Project
Sneaky Pass.
Sneaky Pass. And it's going to have a picture of Pete Hegseth in a tutu on it.
Oh my
So,
God.
do you have your Sneaky Pass? So, that being said, the Iranians fired on in the direction of merchant ships. U.S. warships responded by trying to shoot down those missiles. Then the U.S. once again had a standing strike package stood up, and they bombed 2 microwave communications relay towers in Kishem Island, which I'm sure is it will not debilitate Iran's capability one way or the other. Because now you've reduced them to running around with guys on motor scooters and pieces of paper. Guess what? In my memoir, I have these things called Nance's Laws. And one of Nance's laws is if you destroy your enemy's transmission facility, then you don't have to intercept them. But they are still communicating, and they will communicate with guys on mopeds, and you will find out that you have no idea what they're planning. So that was the significant activity of the day. Not to be outdone, Iran decided it was time to send messages to all of those countries that assisted this. They attacked the U.S. headquarters in Bahrain at Fifth Fleet. Let me see if I can get you the video of that, because that one was an impact. The Central Command came out and said that nothing was destroyed in Bahrain that mattered.
That
And well, I guess
mattered
if your
because
base
it's
is
all
already
destroyed.
if it's already destroyed, right? You can sit
What you
back.
mean that mattered? It's already gone. The reason they attacked, the literal reason they attacked the airport instead of the base is because the airport just opened up, the base is destroyed and has a lot more protection. So there's no
Here it
point of
is.
hitting the base.
All right, this is a video of a car that's driving by, and I don't know how well you can see it over this Baba. This no Naba. The There's a ballistic missile intercept that takes place off to the right. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, that's it blowing up there. Anyway, this is over Bahrain. Kuwait got hit with no less than 7 missiles. Bahrain got hit with an unknown number of missiles. And the Iranians are just making their point. If you support U.S. forces with your air bases and your missiles and your command and control, we're going to hit you. This is now 3 days in a row. Every night, the U.S. is attempting to run Operation Project Sneaky Pass. Thank you, Mike. Uh, and trying to slip these ships through, and the Iranians are warning them and shooting at them. We do not have control of the Strait of Hormuz. This combat only confirms to the insurance companies, do not put ships through the Strait of Hormuz unless they are using the IRGC multipass area. Oh, with that, let's go on to the statement from the commander, senior advisor to Mujtaba al-Khamenei, right? This is General
Yeah.
Rezai, and he has here's what Mario says, the most expansive threat of the entire war. I don't know if we have video of this. No, this is General Rezai. He is the senior advisor to Mujtaba al-Khamenei. So whatever's coming out of his mouth is straight from Mujtaba al-Khamenei, right? Halas, Raj.
And
If the
even if Mustafa is not awake, it might as well be him.
that guy's in charge. And the Israelis are going, how did we miss this guy? How did he survive? Did they pull him out of retirement and put him into uniform? And we thought we killed everybody. Here's what they said about the war yesterday before the ballistic missiles were fired. If the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait are with the Zionists, they should give Abu Dhabi and Bubayan to Saudi Arabia and Iraq. He also confirmed Iran's Beirut Red Line was no bluff. If the Zionists had attacked the Beirut suburbs, we would have rained missiles on the northern occupied territories with a force many times greater than that during the 40-day war. Hey, listen, they called the war a 40-day war. They can name things too. Trump's going to be mad that they thought that up before he did. And the line, if we don't defend our allies today, he said, talking about Hezbollah, no one will come to our aid tomorrow. The statement does three things at once. It confronts that Iran was genuinely prepared to strike directly over Beirut, validating the deterrence shift is real. I said this on Mario Noafel's show about a week ago. He said, what could Iran do with regards to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon? I said, instead of bombarding and wasting your missiles on Tel Aviv, you bombard Israeli forces with your ballistic missiles
Yep.
that are in Lebanon, ammunition dumps, all these places, because then the war would shift from you trying to kill civilians to you supporting as almost like artillery against Hezbollah, against the Israeli army. And most entities will say, well, they're not attacking Israel. They're attacking the Israeli army in Lebanon. That's legit. And he essentially said that yesterday. So this is the guy, General Razai. He is the supreme leader of Iran, Mujtaba al-Khamenei's military advisor. Let's see how long he survives. Because, he is the mouthpiece of Mujtaba's sword, right? Mujtaba has one
Yep.
of those Zulfigar swords with the two heads, the two blades, right? So that's very important.
Ali.
So, okay. I hate being right all the time. Actually, I enjoy it. I enjoy the fuck out of it because, you get all these Twitter experts who are out there. You don't know nothing. You haven't had a top secret clearance in 10 years and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, do you not understand what the word experience means? Right? It's just crazy. So I believe it was 5 or 6 days into the war. I said the United States had three options to putting troops on the ground in Iran. Option one, land at Karg Island. You just sit there and get bombarded. And they'll blow up the oil refinery, and oil will go up to $250 a barrel. Option two, land on the Gulf Islands, starting with Qasem Island. But you can't land on one, you got to land on 8, right? And then when we know, and the option three was, do you remember, Waj? What was the other ground invasion idea that we said that they should have come up with or
The
formulated?
uranium extraction.
Landing in Iran, bringing fucking bulldozers and digging it out over weeks, if not months,
Months.
under fire from the Iranians. So halas, almost as if somebody said, I don't think Malcolm gets enough credit. Here is Donald Trump. And we said this for weeks, and people were like, that's bullshit. They would never do that. People, we are intelligence professionals. This is what we do. We could tell that that plan was in motion. It was in motion right up to the minute those two airplanes got stuck in Iran and they had to blow them up and leave, right? They had to
Yep.
land smaller ones. Okay, you're right. Somebody says they don't value experience. Yeah,
No, they don't.
it's experience. Lived experience means we've seen this shit before. So here is Trump saying precisely the plan that I wrote an entire fucking Substack about months ago.
At this point, do you need a deal with Iran to go get it? Or have you thought about just a covert, Eric, send in the SEALs, send in the Rangers?
But I didn't want to be Jimmy Carter, I didn't feel like being Jimmy Carter. So
That's obvious.
we did. Well, we thought about it right at the very beginning, before we did what we did, before we destroyed their entire military. We thought about it, and I didn't want to be in a position where you had, to get there. It's not like Venezuela. Like you go in, you're there for a matter of minutes, and you're out, and everybody's waving goodbye as you take off, and you brought the cargo back. This is different. You'd have to be there for 2 weeks. You'd need massive equipment. You'd have to airlift the equipment, and you're in a war zone. And there was a time at the very beginning when we thought about doing that, because they would have not been watching, but they would have found out. I mean, during a period of a week to 2 weeks, you would have had a major construction operation, because that plane, and more importantly, those people that operate those planes, including the mechanics, they flew for 37 hours round trip. Think of that. And the tankers that refilled them 4 times, and what an operation it was. Amazing. And, but we would have been, Peter, we would have been there for a period from a week to 2 weeks. We would have gotten it. But I said, I don't like the idea of that. All of a sudden, they, pinpoint, they still had missiles left. That means they would pinpoint you and just keep lobbing them in until one gets through, and people would have gotten killed. So I didn't like it. We could get it right now. I don't think they could stop us if we wanted, but there's no reason to. It's entombed. You use a good word. It's entombed.
Well, that is a change in attitude, is it
Much,
not?
much.
Well, the only reason he said that he did not go with that operation. And let's be honest, people, we saw that operation in motion. 3,000 paratroopers were brought over to Jordan in secret. 1,000 U.S. Special Operations personnel were being airlifted from all over the United States, like the entire fucking Ranger Regiment is still somewhere in Jordan, waiting for this mission. And it would have been 3,000 to 5,000 U.S. troops on the ground. And like he said, first off, they weren't inventive enough to think about just going out and hijacking all the backhoes in central Iran, right? That's what I would have done. I would have hired a contractor, and I would have used the CIA, assembled 20 or 30 backhoes and say, we're going to be building a building, and then put them all on trucks and drive them out to the construction site, right? But
Oh my
then
God.
we'd have to fly the backhoes in. I love his insane timeline. It would have taken a week, well, maybe 2 weeks, under fire. Under fire. Look at this. Mr. Smith says CIA would have opened the John Deere dealership. Yeah, because at the end of the operation, you could sell those tractors. The Iranians would probably buy the excavators from you. We would have left them. But you saw when we did that rescue mission, we lost $300 million of aircraft because someone didn't fucking do an analysis of the dirt that they were landing on. So you would have had to have seized an entire airfield, then marched out there under fire, and by the night of that same night or the next morning, every soldier in Iran would be there circling you, lobbing ballistic missiles. This is a frank moment where Trump actually listened to the military experts. Listen to the military experts. But you know what his sole reasoning was? The first thing he said there, I didn't want to be like Jimmy Carter. Well, you were. You already lost as many planes blown up in the Iranian desert because you couldn't get them out. We lost 3 C-130s and a helicopter and 2 helicopters. Actually, I think it's 3 helicopters. So I think he's 1 helicopter short of equaling Jimmy Carter. So, I just find this amazing admission. The only reason he didn't do it was he's terrified of failure, right? Even
He
though
already
everybody was
failed.
telling him.
He is an he in denial when if you have recognized that you have been in this amount of shit, you can't even save face. Why would you pull out? And then when your best interest is insider trading, where is your like it? There's a conflict of interest at this point. Is it more important for? Is it more worth it for you to end this war, or is it more? Uh, is it less headache for you to keep this war going and take the shit show? And it's okay if I lose the midterm. I only have one this last term, regardless. I'll make the most money out of it and then get the fuck out of here. Like, which one is it? And I feel like he's going between both of them back and forth every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Well, we have one last report to make because it was, other than the fighting yesterday, ballistic missiles flying, and it'll probably happen again tonight. This facility that I'm showing you here is called the CAOC, the KAOC. This was the command center for decades, for almost 20 years. It's called the Combined Air Operations Center. This was the central command forward command post in Al Udeid Air Base for the war. Interestingly enough, this base was put out of commission and they moved all operations to an air command center in South Carolina. Why? This base was hit by ballistic missiles during the war, and this facility, this facility was destroyed. We are only finding it out right now that the Al Udeid Combined Air Operations Center, this ran the air war for Iraq, Afghanistan, for decades. It was destroyed and this facility didn't take a direct hit. It was just the facility around it was destroyed enough that it was completely fucking put out of operation. And we had to shift operations to an air base operating by data link in South Carolina. Now we're only now finding out the shit that was wiped out. So something that controlled the entirety of the Middle East for decades, the Iranians managed to put out in the first days of the war.
And I don't think that they would let the Americans back in.
Well, I suspect, I think that this is going to be, America's going to move to Uvda in Israel.
Yeah.
And
I
that
agree.
came from Air and Space Forces magazine, in case you guys want to know. Soon after it began, right? Took direct hit, right? Took a direct hit on the Air Operations Center. Nobody was killed. The facility was not in use at the time because they shifted it to South Carolina. But they could have wiped out all of our people. They could have really hurt us. Somebody says it's a mistake to move to Israel. Everything Trump does is a mistake. All right, that is all of the significant activities for the day. Wajeeh, do you have anything to add?
Not that much I have to add other than
Here it is, question.
we have the Q&A. Let's do the Q&A.
Oh, I'm just saying we have Q&A. Oh, I don't think anybody's left any questions. Yes, I'm wrong. 40 questions out there. Let's take a look out. What was the point of the Saudi Noam project, Wajeeh?
The NEOM project was
Neom.
the South
Mm.
NEOM, yeah, was the idea where the Crown Prince started his 2030 project. And 2030 project was an idea to reform the Saudi monarchy socially and economically, mostly to diverse the economy. Since the Saudi first founding of the oil infrastructure, they have talked a big game about diversifying the economy. The Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, mostly is dependent on oil for their income. So Neom was the Saudi attempt to make the Saudi. In fact, they wanted to beat France, which is the country that has the most tourism in the world. Saudi Arabia wanted to beat France in tourism and wanted to invite the rest of the world. This is not my thing. This is the
This is what they
Neom
say.
goals.
Mm.
Yeah. And so they got to a point where like they were begging influencers and they were begging tourism industry to sell Saudi Arabia as a destination point for Western tourists to go and visit the kingdom. So they started doing with the crazy projects. Like they have currently building the largest tower in the world that's longer than Burj Khalifa in Jeddah city. But
Oh,
and did
really?
other different yes, and they're doing other projects around the kingdom. But the biggest and most known one is Neom. Project 2030 is a vision of the country that needs to be ending in 2030. But since this war started, this end line of 2030 is going to be extended until like maybe 40 in 2040 or 2050. And then you have all of those strategy gone to shit because it was in a combination with foreign investment and foreign companies to come to Saudi Arabia and establish bases there.
Mm-mm.
That's impossible now. That's just all of it is impossible to happen now. Therefore, the kingdom is now more invested in its security, more invested in purchasing weapons and getting Turkey to come over, getting Ukraine to come over, getting the UK and Italy to come over, and they're stepping away from the United States for its own protection.
Mm. You know, I just find it fascinating that I've been to Saudi Arabia, I've been to Jeddah, I've been to Riyadh, I've been to Dammam. Um, uh, yeah, I've been to those major cities, and they, um, Saudis travel a lot.
They
They
do.
travel a lot. They rebuilt the city of Beirut so they could have a secret party zone where they can go out and do this and dance, hafla,
Hmm.
right? They can party hardy and not be seen. Now they've invested in, for example, I've told you about the Egyptian coast and the New Cairo section of city of Cairo, which is, I swear to God, to go to New Cairo. I had been there in 2015. I hadn't been back to Egypt until 2024. And when I got there, I was like, what the hell is this? It was all desert in 2015 when I was there for the Ministry of Culture and Antiquities for a conference on security. And then when I got back, that entire desert was transformed into mini Dubai. Mini Dubai, billions of Emirati dollars came there. And it was designed to give them a vacation spot in which they could bring their families. Neom is one of those places where you want the world to come, but it's not going to be any alcohol. There's not going to be any dancing girls, right? It's what they call good, clean, family fun sort of place.
They're
On your way.
starting in Saudi Arabia. Actually, they're starting to allow some of that to happen under the ground. In fact, recently there was the first public LGBT party under the supervision of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
What?
Yes,
What?
I'm surprised I'm saying that myself, but
Here, let me
it's
guess.
and
It was
it's
an underground party.
It's almost underground. We used to have a lot more underground, but this one was a little bit more public. It's not as accessible to everyone as we think it is, but this is part of the image that Saudi Arabia is having to play for Westerners. Some rules apply to the rules that apply for its own people does not apply for foreign tourists that are coming to the kingdom.
Well, that is look, bro. I remember when I was back there in Dammam and then moved to Bahrain. Um, these guys, the Saudis, would come across the causeway, the bridge from Saudi Arabia to
Yep.
Bahrain, to drink themselves blind. And they, if you were really a rich one, you had three things. You had a freaking insanely flashy car that you kept in Bahrain. You had an
Yep.
apartment so that you could hafla, right? You could have your little parties in. And I can't tell you how many parties I was invited to because I could speak Arabic. And then, of course, you had your girlfriend who was a Gulf Airlines stewardess, who was not one of your three wives. So no, I'm not joking. Not joking. It was a big thing. And these guys were like buying these women $1 million apartments and giving them Mercedes-Benz cars. And their sole function was go ahead, fly on your airplane. But when I come across the causeway, it's party time. And I mean,
Now they
there's a
do the
lot
same
of
thing with the
millionaires.
gays. They do
What's
the
that?
same thing with they do the same thing with blonde gay boys and twinks and
Now you are just ruining my image here of Saudi Arabia. I can't believe this. Party boys.
they're
But,
doing the same thing now. They're doing the same
wallahi,
thing.
you've definitely freaked me out on this one. This is new. I mean, no one is that open-minded in Saudi Arabia that they're going to be
Yeah.
allowing
Oh,
alcohol and Pride Month to take place in Neom, unless Neom is
nah.
designated a tourist district and is all the laws, and that they cut out like one of those two marina yacht cities and turns that into a non-Saudi place or a free city, something
Hmm.
like that, so that they can say it doesn't actually fall under under Islamic stewardship.
They definitely have that going. I just want to add a little bit more to that. Not only that they did this party recently, there is an official LGBTQ um um cruise, ship cruise for Western LGBT to stop at Saudi Arabia and Egypt and another country port. And they would stop and go in, and it's only for LGBTQ people, and it is only marketed for queer people to come and visit and tour the
Okay,
kingdom.
stop, stop, stop. Okay, I've spent a lot of time in the Adriatic Sea. Okay, I have been to every port in the Adriatic. I have been to Trieste. I've been to Venice.
Yeah, of
I
course.
used to almost married a woman from Treviso, and she had a place in Jesolo. So I was in Venice all the time, all the way, both sides, Dubrovnik, Split, Ploče, even Montenegro. They didn't know I was there, but it's just one of those things. That is where I expect to see gay cruises. They were everywhere, right? Coming out of Venice, Carnival Cruise Line, 5,000 guys, right? I do not expect to see that in the Red Sea. I can tell you right now. I think you're shining me on, and that
It
if
it is called.
Ashdod, Israel. Israel's
Well,
great for pride. The
let
gay
me just
community in Israel is amazing.
let me just burst your bubble. The American travel company Vakia has announced an all-gay Arabian Nights cruise 211 scheduled for 2027
You
that
lie
will
like a rug.
depart from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It
You
will
lie.
depart from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
You've made this up. This is you better have a fucking flying carpet. I'm sorry, you just lie. I cannot.
I
Send me the link. I gotta test it. I think that is some. Oh, you guys are experimenting. Okay, can we go on to other questions because
Okay, let's go.
Neom has now blown my mind. The only thing that we can say is I think that they will continue with the de-desertification and bringing in like the million trees. My beloved late wife had her project Raha Beach. No, not Raha Beach, Saadiyat Island, which is now where the Louvre, Guggenheim, NYU. For 5 years, there was nothing on that island but what she put in. And she had 3 farms in Indonesia growing a million bougainvillea, which for 5 years, that's all that was on Saadiyat Island, that, the St. Regis Resort. And people were there were so many bougainvillea, these red flowers. The big thing for people on weekends was to go on the island and have your picture taken in front of the flowers. So they really, when it comes to flowerage and plantings, the Gulf states really do believe in getting de-desertification. Like that project in Egypt that I was telling you about, I don't think it's by the Egyptians. I think it's a Gulf states project. I want to say that it was like Kuwait or somebody was doing that. So you can take back the desert. You can green the desert. Now, are you going to be having gay boat dance parties there? Well, I don't know. I don't even think you can get that in Jordan. But Eilat, Israel, too much, no problem. But okay, now that's something. Let's move on. There's some other questions. Someone's asking a uniform question from World War II. He says, Malcolm, my dad was in the South Pacific during World War II. Could someone in the audience tell me what these patches mean? Funny, you should mention it. These patches, I know what they mean because my dad was in World War II, also not in the Army. This is part of the Army. These solid bars represent 6 months in combat. So that guy was 2 years in the war zone. That hash mark usually represents 3 years of honorable service. This is a World War II uniform. Save this. You have no idea how much that is. I know people that do reenacting because they do. As a matter of fact, I was invited just recently to a 1940s reenactment a weekend at Bletchley Park, the place where they break codes in World War II. This is a good conduct patch from World War II. It means that you have honorable service. If you didn't have the flying eagle in a circle, you didn't have good conduct. And this, everybody knows what this is. No, he was a technical sergeant, technical corporal, beep, 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 which means that he had a very specialized technical service in the U.S. Army Air Corps, because that badge is U.S. Air Force's Pacific in World War II. That uniform looks pristine. Bro, get yourself some vacuum sealed bags. Get some mothballs, because that stuff, if it's wool, moths will eat it, and preserve the shit out of that uniform. That's gold. You have no idea what this stuff auctions for, because they do have these reenactors, and they want to buy the original uniforms. That $500 easy in that personal thing. If he's a named person, if he has a history. Recently, a CIA OSS officer's uniform. I was looking at it because you guys know I'm with the Spy Museum, and this uniform is part of the CIA's War Museum. A similar one it's just funny. You got me on the right week where I was looking this stuff up. A similar uniform of a named OSS sergeant in World War II went for $6,800.
Wow.
So if your dad was doing some spooky shit, it's worth a lot. But don't just give that away. It's your family heritage. I recommend there are places that will mount that uniform in a shadow box with the medals, with his photos, and you can get it so that it's nitrogen filled and it won't decay and moths won't eat it.
That's
That's
pretty
my.
cool.
You come to questions for me, buddy. You better be ready for answers. I would frame the ever living fuck out of that. Put pictures of my dad in the Pacific, uniform on. He probably flew bombers or something like that. Jeez Louise. That would be great. Question: is Iran overplaying their hand? No, I think they're doing an excellent job of making it
Mhm.
clear that they have the upper hand. What do you think?
Iran knows exactly the card it holds, unlike the United States. They know exactly what they want to achieve. And the issue here is that we're not on the same page, or we're at the denial phase in the United States where we haven't recognized the fact that we have lost this war and do not have the upper hand. All the actions show that this administration is in denial because I keep hearing Trump's like, "Oh, they should be held waving the white flag. They should be on their knees begging us. We won this war." The Trump White House genuinely think that we have achieved all of our objectives in this war. And for that, I have two things to say. If we have achieved all of our objectives in this war, then why are we at war?
Why are we
And
still fighting, right?
and the second thing is that if we want to claim that we have a victory, then let's finish. If you're victorious, let's call it done.
I
But
get all these idiots. Go ahead, Tfadl.
no, that's it.
I get all these idiots who come on and they go, "We won this war. We have overwhelmingly destroyed the Iranian forces and this and that. We dropped 30,000 bombs. We hit X number of targets." And it reminds me of that old anecdote of a U.S. Army colonel was meeting with a North Vietnamese colonel later after the Vietnam War was over. And he said, "We defeated you in every battle. There is no battle that North Vietnam won in the Vietnam War." And the Vietnamese colonel goes, "That's irrelevant. We won the war."
Exactly. It doesn't matter how many battles you win. It matters who wins the war.
Irrelevant. Irrelevant how many bombs we dropped. Irrelevant. Iran arguably is strategically strategically, because they're impacting every person on this planet now. They have control of the fate of people's entire crops and industry, everything. They may break America if they keep holding out. And they don't need a grommet coffee mug. They have their little cups of tea, and all they have to do, that's right, cheese. All they have to do is sit back and have another cup of tea and exercise strategic patience. I'm trying to educate you guys. Please go and read 1001 Arabian Nights, right? Alpha Layla wa Layla. The unexpurgated version translated by Sir Richard Burton, right? The full one. You will get more education about Islam, because the medieval period, these stories are over hundreds of years, right? But they always involve one thing. They involve these things. I'm going to tell you everything that's in 1001 Arabian Nights. A young lover, a beautiful princess, and a evil king or a misguided good king, an evil vizier, right? Wazir, right? Which means
Uh-huh.
advisor, right? Or minister,
Minister.
right? A freaking genie. There's always a genie out there, okay? Because
Mhm.
tell them, Wajeeh, genies are real in Islam.
Yes, jinnis are just like humans in Islam. They exist everywhere. We believe that they are a type of creature that exists. Like there's the Satan, there's genies, and then there's humans, and they're called jinn. Yes, they're called jinn.
Jinn.
Some of them are followers of God, and some of them are not followers of God.
Really?
So Muslims believe that there are good jinn and bad jinn. And they also believe that if you treat jinn in a good way that they won't harm you. And if you enter their spaces without permission, they will, harm you. That's how they believe. And so, like, you're not supposed to disgrace bones in particular because bones is the food of the jinn.
I learned something. I'm today years old learning that. I've studied this for 40 years. I'd never heard that. I got to tell you something that's interesting. I will not say it here because it's in my memoir, but there is a story that involves the jinn. And it is the single, I can say without any question, without any equivocation, it is the single most dangerous thing that ever happened to me in my life. In my life. And I've been in a lot of freaking crazy, dangerous situations, suicide bombings, rocket attacks. Nothing was as dangerous as my encounter that involved the jinn. That story, I don't even know if I want to do that on it. My memoir will have to be out before I tell that story. You need to read it because to this day, this moment, Wajeeh, I'll tell you this story offline. To this day, I can't believe how fucking dangerous that situation I was in. Murderously dangerous. Literally everyone in Baghdad was going to kill me. or had the capacity to find me and kill me at that moment. I was like, this is unhealthy. Why am I here? It is so hilarious. I'm going to let you guys all saute on that. Lee, it's in my upcoming memoir, Thinker, Sailor, Black Man, Spy, Memoir of an Intelligence Warrior. And that comes out next January. But late this summer, you'll have an opportunity to pre-order it. And what I'm going to do is I actually am going to order a few hundred copies myself inside. This book's going to sell 1 million copies because the stories were cleared by NSA. NSA, CIA, DIA, Joint Special Operations Command, and the Pentagon. And it took 2 years to clear this book of the secrets that I thought were in it. NSA was like, yeah, go ahead and tell them all about that shit. I was like, wow, okay, we'll do some of those stories. I always say this, I can't, did I read that the other day? I read an excerpt from it, right? The first words I ever intercepted. Oh, it was dirty, dirty, dirty words in Lebanon. Uh, so, but it just utterly amazing. You can buy it there will come out. Believe me, when it's to the point where you can pre-order it, I will tell you, because we need to get like 50,000 pre-orders to be number 1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. I've been on the New York Times bestsellers list 5 times, and I've never broken number 6 because they always release my damn book in the middle of the summer reading era, right? And you're like, I think I got blocked by Neil deGrasse Tyson on my book about ISIS. And I'm like, I'm not going to beat Neil deGrasse Tyson in July.
For some reason, I could see you and Tyson be friends, honestly.
Oh, we could be. Somebody has referred to me as the Neil deGrasse Tyson of terrorism, counterterrorism. But David Sedaris had the number 1 book. I was like, that's a book of funny stories. I'm never going to beat that. And they were like, yeah, let's release it in summer. I was like, no, don't release it in summer. Release it at Christmas or New Year's. I do not understand how books are marketed. Somebody says order from independent bookstores, right? Order 2 so you can put 1 in your public library. So that being said, I think I'm going to answer some of these questions offline. Happy D-Day? Yeah, today is June 6th, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
June 6th, 1944, The day the United States recalibrated the world. And now, thanks to Donald Trump, America has surrendered everything that those soldiers have died for. We're siding with dictators. We are running a fascist government. Thank you for D-Day. Every year I go to France now, and there is someone that I visit at the Omaha Beach Normandy Cemetery there. And
is that the person you adopted?
yes, not adopted. They family. Cuz.
Oh,
So, but some of the people you might have noticed, I put out a notice on Substack, a line asking for people in New York City to help me do some legwork to find a photograph of this young soldier who died in World War II. And she has no photographs. There's no way we can find it. So go back and find that thread if you're in the New York City area. We have dozens of inquiries in Amazon or Ancestry.com and places like that. The only way we're going to find this is legwork in the city. And I pay in coffees and elegant lunches. Uh, my, what is it? Saint Ambroise, one of my favorite cafes in New York City, an Italian restaurant, but I love it. It's like stepping into that place is like stepping into the coffee bar next to the port in Capri. And it's on Fifth Avenue. I'm like, damn, this is Italy. Did I just get teleported to Italy? I started speaking Italian. They were all like, oh yeah, you speak Italian. So I'm paying off in lunch there or at what is the one in Harlem, Shea Harlem? The French restaurant in Harlem. Because if I find this photograph, I'm gonna be very generous. But that is in the chat. You can go back and volunteer there. I have 2 people right now. I'd like to hear from you. Because when I come back to the States here in a week or so, I'm going to be going down to the city and we're going to be running around and looking for things. Okay, if you are watching this on YouTube, you have already missed it, or this is your update. Please subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you're on Substack, go over to YouTube and subscribe there so that you can make comments. This thing gets like 4,000 comments per show.
wow.
They love it on YouTube. I'm at 175,000 followers or something, trying to get to 250. Same thing on Substack. They have recalibrated Substack. I've been hearing from all the big accounts that a lot of old accounts that were subscribed and have no activity were removed. That's why we lost 3,000 followers, went from
Wow.
97,000 to 94,000 in less than a week. They cleaned up a lot of stuff. So if you know people that should know about this, press the button, go to Substack and subscribe to Malcolm Nance at Substack.com and subscribe to Wajeeh Lion at Substack.com. Jacob Carsbo will be with us Monday. He'll be with us Monday because his son is like in the soccer finals. And so he's leaning in on his family. Whereas I am just a dog sitter, right? I have a sleepy dog. This is about as close to family as I'm going to get
Oh
here,
my
right?
goodness.
Is a sleepy beagle and and a couple of sleepy beagles who was naughty. He was très méchant yesterday. He escaped and went to go party with some dogs on the other side. And naughty dog.
Can't
That's how they
blame
say it
him.
in French. You're méchant, méchant chien.
Michon.
So, yeah, he's super cute. Yeah, he's cute because he's sleeping and not eating things and not running off, you know, as what do my wife call it? Going on a toot. He's on a toot. So that being said, so thank you for watching this. Recommend this to your friends. Recommend it. Write to other programs if you think that they should be on this show, like Don Lemon and Jim Acosta. I've been on their shows, but it might be time for them to come and visit us and bring some of them hundreds of thousands of followers because I just need
Well,
4,500 now to break the 100,000 mark.
you should invite them over.
I will. We can. Lady in the Tramp.
You were talking about the Rolex effect.
Rolex, Saudi
If you
Arabia
know,
version.
if you know the sign, not every Rolex effect is a regular Rolex effect. These are the ones that are gifted by the royal families to friends and fellow spies like Malcolm Nance.
Yeah, I
When they
noticed.
come and visit,
I
when they come and
noticed.
visit, they get these kind of watches.
I notice you have a photograph of one.
Yeah, no, I don't have one.
That's as close as you're getting, bro. You got a photograph. Oh, someone asked about my shirt. this is a company, a motorcycle company in Australia called Deus Ex Machina. And I taught back in 2006. I was adjunct faculty at Macquarie University in Sydney. So I was living in Sydney, and I found this tiny little cafe. I'm all about coffee culture, guys. If you haven't figured it out, and this place, somebody goes, "Oh, you got to go up to Deus Ex Machina in out in this western suburb." And I went there, and there's a beautiful cafe filled with motorcycles. They sell motorcycles, and now it's over the years. I've seen this shirt in two places. I stopped a guy on an airplane. I was like, "Bro, you've been to Sydney?" And he goes, "No, they opened one in Venice, California." And so I visited the one in Venice, California. There's one in Milan, and there's one in Tokyo, and that's it. That's where Deus is
Wow.
from. And I'm not a brand hoe, but some things I am. All right. Deus Ex Machina, Mont Blanc fountain pens, and Lamy fountain pens, and Willie
Lemons are
Scott
good
pens.
pens.
I love Lamy pen. I like
Wh-
fountain pens. I'm a fountain pen guy.
If you like
I,
Lammy, you would like Twisby.
which kind?
Twisby.
Twisby. Don't know it.
Yeah,
Who makes it?
they used to be. It's a Chinese or Taiwanese company. They used to be making the parts for the luxury companies, and now they make their own.
Twisby. Oh, TWSBI?
Yeah.
This? Oh, that's interesting. When I go to Paris every year, funny thing is, I buy most of my pens in one of two places. I buy it either there's Lamy shop. There's now a Lamy shop in New York City. And I actually had a custom International Legion pen made up there that was engraved by them. And we're still waiting to auction that. We're going to auction that off. And there's a shop in the Carousel du Louvre in Paris that I just like to hang out down there. And I didn't realize till the third year that I went that it was a Japanese stationery store from Tokyo. And they sell pens from all over the world. And that's where I first found Quaco, which is a German company. And I would go there to resupply on Lamy there, or Galerie Lafayette, their stationery store section up there. But this little Japanese shop down there's got like everything. But now I got this Twisby here. This is what he's talking about. TWSBI. I'll have to
No.
check it out. All right. Cool men use fountain pens. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure you're journaling when you say, "Dear Diary, I wish this war would end."
Now.
We'll all get into it. Someday we'll have a pen and watch show. My current watch is actually at a Breitling, and it's being repaired right now. Its
Why
annual battery.
every spy has a Breitling watch, huh? Every spy I know has a Breitling watch.
I know we should be doing a private chat, subscribers only culture show. No, because I used for a very long time. My late wife, God bless her, gave me was it a Tag Heuer? No, it wasn't a Tag. No, I
Scooter.
can't remember the name, but um, she gave me this watch, and it's the one that I wore in Ukraine, and I put a compass on it. And I taped
Hmm.
down a compass on it. Now it's a museum piece. I don't wear it anymore. It's with my body armor. It's being donated to the Spy Museum. But you wouldn't believe the controversy when I was seen with that watch on. There's two schools of thought. I love Malcolm's school of thought, and there's this whole group of I hate Malcolm Nance school of thought, right? And it's just insane. And they were like criticizing my watch. It's like,
Oh, I met someone that was
wow.
criticizing the way you were wearing your armor vest, not the watch. They're
They
like,
everything. And they're like, "There's no armor in that." It's like, y'all need lives. Y'all need lives. We are trying to give you a life. Go collect fountain pens and start writing with fountain pens and longhand. And, but and learn the finer things in life and enjoy life yourself, right? It's way too short. I just had a nephew of actually Jimmy's a nephew. Yeah, my nephew just lost his wife, age 52, right? Y'all need to get out there. find something that makes you happy, like a Deus motorcycle your wife won't let you buy, or a fountain pen that when you're sitting on the bus, you can say, I feel like I'm Alexander Dumas or, Saint Antoine de Superi, Antoine de Superi. Okay, guys, thank you. We've gone over, 15 minutes of banter at the end of this. Thanks, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Believe me, there will probably be more fighting tonight, so be sure to tune back in. All right, Wajeeh, thank you for coming. Shufik Badain.
Sure, by then. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Fi amanillah.